3, 2, 1. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Conversing with Chris and Misa, the podcast. Today is October 2nd, 2020. It is a Friday evening here in El Paso, Texas. It is approximately 5:25 in the evening. As always, co-host of the podcast, Mr. Misa's here with us. Say what's up, Misa.
What it do? Holla.
And for today's episode, guys, we have a new producer to the podcast. He's filling in for Lena, the producer, who's out with her friend right now. His name is Nick. He's friend of the podcast. He's been on a few times. Nick, say what's up.
Hey, what's going on, family?
Hey, Lena's not in a safari this time?
She's not in a safari this time. She's just on the east side with her friends. But, you know, maybe next time she'll be in a safari or something. And for episode 45 of Conversing with Chris and Misa, the podcast, we have a very special guest with us. Mr. Chuck Debroder's here with us, guys. Say what's up, Chuck.
Hey, what is up, Chris and Misa and Nick and everybody in the house?
Chuck,
what is going on?
Chuck, how are you, Chuck?
I am most awesome. I am excellent, boy, 100% ready to go. I've been psyched and looking forward to talking to y'all, and we've been working it out. Got the schedule opened up, and we're here.
Yeah. Actually, a while back, a few months ago, I was talking to Chris, and we are trying to think, like, who can we have here that most people know? And I was like, dude, what about Chuck? And Chris was like, you know what, just shoot your shot. Shoot your shot, 2020. And
2020.
thanks to Chris, thanks to Chuck to even answering back.
Oh,
man.
man.
We appreciate
Yeah,
it. And I gotta say real quick, Chuck, you look thinner, man. You're looking good.
I've lost 22 pounds, and I discovered some tweaks, some secrets to losing weight that, I lost 48 pounds in 3.5 years, which is good. But I was busting hump in the gym. I was eating 5 times a day. Trainers say eat 5 times a day. Well, if you eat 5 times a day, you're putting in more calories,
right.
So, but, they want to keep your business, keep you coming back like the hospitals, right?
Yeah.
And the doctors. So
keep them sick. So
keep them sick, back. Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, then all of a sudden in 6 months, I've lost 22 pounds. So I am, do the math, I am 70 pounds lighter than I was 3.5 years ago. Stress-free and much happier, healthier.
What's your secret, Chuck? I need to know. I need to write this shit down right now.
Well,
Nick, write this shit down, all right?
Chef Rosario and my wife, she is a professional chef, pastry chef. She has Cooking with Rosario every Wednesday at 11 a.m. with Rosana Diaz from Televisa Juarez, and they're live on AM 1420.
That tres leches cake.
Activa Radio. Oh, did you see that?
I did. That was delicious.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm at work during that time, but I make sure I'm in my break room at 11.
Yeah.
Check that out.
Yeah, but then it just makes you hungry.
Oh, yeah, it does, which is okay because, I get out by noon, so
okay, good.
I give my wife ideas
good,
after
good.
watching that show.
But she jump-started my whole thing with cucumber, green apple, and lemon juice, and that's part of the recipes. And I've been a hypnotist for 15 years, too. That's my second passion, is the power of the mind. And I've got a client up in the Pacific Northwest. She actually is originally from here. And in 2 weeks, she's lost 6 pounds with my recorded hypnosis session. I did a session with Mike McKay, who's been a DJ here with the Fox. He was on WABC, New York, Detroit. He did the Geico motorcycle commercial voiceover.
Oh, dude,
he did How to Train Your Dragon toy commercial and Hasbro Star Wars toys commercial. Anyway, he's a massive voiceover guy, and he's retired. He lives up the street here. And I went there and I laid down some binary beats underneath my voice, which drop you from alpha, the awake state, to beta, beta, the awake state, to alpha, the first level of hypnosis, to theta and delta. And so I sent that to her. And so I help people lose weight. And now I figured I'm not an expert, but I tell people what I did. So
that's actually that's pretty interesting, and that's amazing. Would you try that out, Chris?
Yeah, probably, dude. I could probably use a few pounds. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Not to, I'm not shy about my weight or anything, but that sounds pretty good. If I can lose 6 pounds in 2 days.
Yeah, it's drinking the juice, and then I eat one full meal a day, completely with dessert, with the tres leches, with
Sign me up.
flan,
Sign me up. Chuck.
everything.
I'm ready. Sign me
and
up.
then it's just what you eat afterwards. So we'll talk more about that. But
Yeah, for sure.
I'll hook you up. We'll do this.
We'll lose some pounds on this podcast.
So it's like a psychological kind of aspect, right?
It is.
Mentality.
It's all your self-image. Anything. It takes 28 days to develop a habit. Some people say 21, but 28 days is the lunar cycle. So you do anything good or bad for 28 days, you're going to develop a habit, right? And your conscious mind is like the bodyguard. It says, hey, Chuck needs to smoke to be Chuck. So we're going to make it easy for him to have the money to buy cigarettes, to go smoke, and all that. But if we can send the bouncer, the bodyguard, on a break and talk to your alpha and your theta and talk to your subconscious mind, your fantasy world, then all of a sudden I can put thoughts of your black tar-filled lungs, the taste of a cigarette and all that in your mouth. And I put all the emotions in there. And the next time you touch a cigarette, you're like, nah. And you put it down, right?
Or the next time you want Whataburger.
Or Whataburger. Yeah. But, and actually, I can eat a Whataburger. But here's the thing. At first, you throw away the non-condiment bun. Whatever's not seasoned there, you toss that to the birds, toss the sandwich bottom layer out, and you just eat the hamburger like that. Now, poor girl, last time I was at Whataburger, I said, could I have a lettuce wrap? And she didn't speak English too well. And so she gave me a hamburger with shredded lettuce around the burger, around the patty. It was a little hard to eat, but
How did that even stick together? Dude?
it was tough.
At least she was very nice enough to accommodate you.
Yeah, she was like, oh, see. Yeah,
Sí.
yeah. La chuga.
Chop it up.
So
Lechuga.
first off, Chuck, before we really dive into this podcast, because we're going to get into a lot of things. We have a lot of things to talk about.
Sure.
You've been a prominent El Paso weatherman for years. Now you've transitioned into social media and trying to build your brand and get your exposure that way. So we'll get into all that.
Sure.
But first off, I just want to thank you for being on here today. So
Thank
round
you.
of applause for
Thank
Chuck.
you. Thank you.
All right, boy, the audience, and their social distancing too, which is so important. A lot of wearing masks.
We're actually doing 7 feet apart.
Okay,
Not 6.
7.
We're
Okay.
taking an extra foot. So precaution.
So like I said, we want to thank you. We understand how busy your schedule is, and we just want to thank you for taking your time and joining us here today. So before we kick off this podcast, guys, you guys already know we have a tradition unlike any other. We have to crack open our celebratory beer.
And I've got water here.
And Chuck
tonight,
is
baby.
Yes.
Chuck
Yeah.
is drunk on H2O, guys.
Yeah,
There
I'm
we go.
drunk on water.
So
Yeah.
the beer is popped. I'm gonna take a drink, and this
There we go.
podcast
Salute.
is officially
Cheers.
Salute.
began.
Cheers. Chuck.
So, Chuck, it's hard for me to say this, but for the people who do not know who you are, because mostly everybody I know,
Everybody knows. Chuck.
and probably the only people who really wouldn't know who you are people who are real young right now. But for the most part, most people growing up in El Paso, you recognize Mr. Chuck. He's, like I said, he's a local weatherman here, or he was a local weatherman here for a long
Still
time.
is, man.
Still is.
Still
Just
is.
different media.
But
Yeah.
different media, but he was that guy you would see all the time. So for Chuck, for the people who don't know you, can you kind of just give us a little bit about who you are as a person, and then kind of where you grew up? Because I know you're not from El Paso, you're from Colorado, correct?
Originally, yeah. Born in Porter Memorial Hospital, and the day after I was born, they stopped delivering babies. I don't know if that was a
It's
correlation
probably
there.
like some weather
But
thing happened with Chuck.
but now they're delivering babies again. It's been a long enough time. They're like, hey, we'll chance it again. And but yeah, on a winter day, January 17th, and my TV station, one general manager told me, Chuck, we made Chuck Debroder. I go, no. My mom and dad did on a cold winter night at Loveland Ski Resort, and there you go. But I grew up in Arvada, Colorado, which is now one of the most desirable places in Denver to live. My parents bought our duplex for $28,000. It's now, if they said if we get a separate water meter, it's worth $750,000. The marijuanification of Denver is what I call it. I mean,
God bless.
now you can't even find a $500,000 fixer-upper in Denver. And if you do, you're going to get more than a $500,000, and they're going to knock it down and probably build a high-rise. And now Denver's finally getting smart and making them put parking garages in there because there's no parking like most big cities, you know. But anyway, I grew up there. I loved to talk, and this was in one of my bios once, but a kindergarten teacher discovered my talent for talking, and I talked at the wrong time, of course, you know, all class. And she was like, Chuck, come here. She put me in an empty classroom and got one of those Fisher-Price kind of karaoke microphone little radios and said, Chuck, pretend you're on the radio. I said, cool. So I was in the room. She came back over an hour later. I was still talking.
Oh,
and she knew I was destined for a career in
You know
radio.
what? Now that you say that, maybe my son, I got a 4-year-old, that dude won't stop talking. Maybe I should get him into that.
Train him, man.
Train him, start him now, dude. That way, like, because you know when you're growing up, some people are like, I'm afraid like to be in front of people. I'm afraid to get up in front of the class and give a speech or whatever. Like, I think if you start them young, dude, that fear, you'll just coach it right out of them. And then they become not to the point where not only are they comfortable talking or being on mic or on screen, where they actually like and enjoy it. And then they try to figure out, how can I do this as a career? You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. That's how it was with me. My grandma,
Grandma was German.
German, ja, sie sind Deutsch. Ich habe 2 Jahre auf der Hochschule studiert. Ich habe 2 Jahre auf der Universität. Aber ich sprach
like a beer.
Ja, ich sprach deutsches Bier, deutsches Essen, deutsches Mädchen am
Hey,
liebsten.
Nick,
Ja.
can you translate for us real quick?
Anyway, so yeah, but I learned actually 2 years in high school, I said, and 2 years in college. But my grandma was German. She was blunt, and she was like, "You're going to sing. We want to hear you sing." And I would stand up in front of all the family, relatives, neighbors, and I learned at a young age, hey, it's no big deal. You know, even if you mess up,
It's fine.
man.
Right.
And that's what people don't realize in life. Mess up. If you're going to mess up big, man. And then you learn the next time.
Makes you better.
Yeah, it makes you
You
better.
know, it's imperfect action, you know, and you keep on getting in until you fix each little thing. So I learned that at an early age. So you're right on with that. And, you know, I had a 14 millimeter overbite. I used to say Gale and Wabbit instead of rabbit. And I went to a speech therapist, and I wish she could have seen me on TV because she would have been like freaked out. But at the age, third grade all the way up through, junior high,
Wow.
you know, speech therapist, maybe 7th grade, I'd still occasionally have to go. And
now look at you, like now everybody like
Yeah.
knows your voice.
yeah, and
Without even
I've
having
done
to look.
I've done voiceovers. I've been an actor, been in a few movies in the last year and a half, and Crystal Poppins, Miss Poppin video.
Oh,
I
really?
wait a little bit.
You were in that?
Yeah, man.
I know Crystal Poppin.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's amazing, dude. I really
Yeah.
like her. I'm glad to see the way that her career's going, because I, like, back in the day, I tried to be like a little rapper, and so I started locally with my friend, little rapper, because I don't know, because like I didn't take it that seriously.
But you know what? You know,
I tried, and
the word flow, and a guy by the name of Spoonie Beach out of Oakland was on my radio station in Pueblo, Colorado, and he taught me how to flow, and I could think ahead, and so
that's part of
That's
it.
talent,
you
right
know,
there,
part of
dude.
it.
That's,
and
that's
so
talent.
you know, I can, you know, I used to freestyle over there at the Prickly, and the freestyle, my freestyle and pre-style, I get a little bilingual and angry in my pre-style. But anyway, but no, it's an art, you know, it's poetry, and so you know,
and what I was saying with Crystal Poppin, we did a show back in the day at Frankie's East, the bowling alley, and it was like a showcase. So she won the showcase, and after that, like her career is just projected and projected. So it's kind of cool.
That's awesome.
And
Yeah.
then now Mr. Chuck here was in her video, so it's all just full circle again.
and ran into Miss Poppin's mom over at Albertsons by University there, and And she goes, I'm Crystal's mom. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. So I haven't yet told her that I ran into your mom. She went to Austin High, and a few of my friends that went to high school with her knew her. And yeah, I'm just so happy. And she co-rapped a little University of Texas song for the season for
I saw that.
ESPN.
Yeah.
For the Texas games that they're
awesome.
showing.
That's dope.
They're
dude.
going to have her voice. And it's just like 2 lines, maybe 2-3 lines for each. And they got some old school Houston rapper who actually is pretty darn good. And their voices mesh really well.
So it sounds good.
Hey,
Yeah.
you know what? I just got a perfect idea. Nick, what do you think about this? Chuck and Chris put out an album.
Hey, there we go.
Right there, dude. An EP.
Rap
Right?
battles.
The Chris and Chuck mixtape.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to tell everybody, you know, this was my gang here, you know, West Side 9. You know, back in the day. You know, I'll jump you in later. But
So, how did you so you went to? Did you go to Texas Tech for school?
I did actually take one class there, but I was on at KCBD News Channel 11 with John Robinson and Abner Uresti and Karen McKay. Abner, Latino, Mexa, and Karen literally are still co-anchors, and they've been co-anchors for like 50 years, like the longest in the country, and their ratings are still killer.
Amazing.
People still watch local TV in Lubbock, but if you lived in Lubbock or been there, especially if there's no college in session, there's not much to
there's
do.
not much going on.
No, you can. Somebody told me before I moved there, you can do everything there is to do in Lubbock 3 times in 6 months. You know, and I'm like, oh, okay. But I love Lubbock and I love Guns Up, Texas Tech. No, don't get me wrong. All the people were nice. They even had some old oil money and stuff. There was like a little real rich area there.
Yeah.
I got to see big bands just a half a block from my house in a little warehouse. And these touring bands would go there like, Smashing Pumpkins and a band that I really liked from Colorado called Big Head Todd and the Monsters. And then there was Jack Russell of Rock Me Now. There was a top 40 heavy metal band we saw there, and some other, just like, it was cool just because it was a small town, but you know, played a little bigger because of the college.
Yeah.
That's
But
My brother went to Texas Tech. He graduated with his law degree from there. So I've been to Lubbock one time, and it was to go to his graduation. And we saw like these richer areas where they have like huge houses, like ridiculous
Hollywood,
estates.
yeah.
Like Hollywood status. And like you said, Lubbock, not a lot going on, especially if there's no University Texas Tech football game. It is a college town, but it's cool because like I know like being in an environment like that, that's where you get like the chance to have like a place where you get all these cool concerts and things that you guys get to go and enjoy and experience. So that's cool. I mean, I take El Paso over Lubbock, but you know, Lubbock's alright.
And that's where I started, and they paid me. Well, here I got my first degree at University of Southern Colorado, which is now CSU Pueblo. It's kind of like the UTEP of Colorado.
Okay.
And they've got great sports teams. Always
Are
have.
they 3-0 right now?
I believe so. I don't know.
Because I think I might. No, wait.
Yeah.
I was gonna say if they're anything like UTEP, their sports programs are not the best.
Well,
They're
but-
3-1 right now.
Yeah.
Well, for once, they've been playing high school teams and
Yeah.
Division II teams.
Yeah, and community colleges.
Yeah.
Don't forget that.
See, it doesn't count.
But anyway,
They played Texas and got ran out
actually,
of the building.
CSU Pueblo 3 years ago took the national championship in their like Division 1 or 2.
Whatever
or
division
whatever.
they're in.
Yeah.
Like a JUCO team, kind of. Like,
Yeah, well, they're not even Division 1, maybe.
They're, like Division
2.
II, like somewhere
Yeah.
like Mary Hardin Baylor,
Yeah.
like a little school like
Okay,
that.
okay.
You know
Yeah,
what
but
I mean?
they're pretty big. But anyway, radio, TV, broadcasting, NPR. I got a Silver Mike Award as a freshman, only freshman to do that at the college radio station. That was cool. And
How was
then
that experience? That was your first time doing radio?
Yeah, right out of the bat. And I ended up being news director as a freshman of this radio station. And
You're born with
and
It's your grandma, your German grandma.
yeah, I
go
did.
up.
Yeah, go. And mach schnell. Yeah. And so she, I did that, and it was minimum wage to do radio. I said, dude, I can't pay my student loans or anything on minimum wage. And that's what it's really gone for TV now. 2 weather girls ago, we paid minimum wage to the weather girl.
Oh, wow.
I trained one girl illegally for 3 months. She got paid $0 for 3 months of training. Jesus. But anyway, they do a lot of...
Why is that, though? Why is that?
Well, my perspective, I think they love it. I mean, if you love something so much,
Yeah.
you're going to... Even if you don't get paid.
And they do it for the ego and for to say, hey, I'm on TV.
Yeah, I'm on TV.
Right.
Yeah. Now, do you have any food I can eat because I can't afford to eat?
Right, yeah.
But I did radio. I went all over driving. I was persistent. I did, I go to these TV stations. They're like, Chuck, you're great. Where do you do weather now? And I'm like, I give the best forecast in the world out of my living room in Pueblo, Colorado. And they're like, oh, no, we need somebody with experience. And the same old thing. And well, how do you get experience if no one lets you get a break? So even in Grand Junction, Colorado, the lowest market where you have to pay them to be on TV, I think.
That's crazy.
And
was there was there a lot of people that were in that field of work? Was there a lot of competition?
Really. Well, there's a lot of competition, not a lot of openings, across the country.
Oh, okay.
If you think about it, there's like, I don't know, 500 TV stations, something like that.
And then obviously the goal is you want to get into the biggest market because that's where you're going to make the most money. But you kind of have to start like almost anywhere.
Yeah.
Like you get your foot in the door.
But now you can start in El Paso, Texas. It used to not be the case. You used to have to work somewhere else like I did in Lubbock.
Then come over here.
Before. But now they'll, hey, you're head cashier at Walmart. Okay, you're on.
Get on the TV.
And,
They're working for free.
Yeah.
So is that how you how did you get to El Paso? Obviously it was a job opportunity, right?
Did you know about El Paso before that?
Well, I was hired in Lubbock. I drove there, moved there with my girlfriend. She got a $10,000 signing bonus as a newly graduated nurse.
Oh, nice.
To move to Lubbock because they needed nurses.
Sugar mama.
I'm like, gee, I'm going to be your agent, And so we moved there, and the news director was like, I called him, and he goes, oh, Chuck, where are you? I go, I'm here in Lubbock. I'm ready to work because he gave me a part-time fill-in. I said, well, that's better than nothing. And I had called the Chili's down there because I had worked 5 years, 3 Chili's, 2 states, and I would kick ass as a waiter. In fact, we just ate there today.
Shout out to Chili's. I was going to say, Chili's is really good. I love that place.
And I would go up, and so I said I could do that and then fill in weather, And he said, well, today's my last day. I just became Lubbock Independent School District PR man. Good luck. So I kept auditioning, and finally the same TV station with the new news director hired me. And I had to do 2 auditions, a live noon audition, and then the main weather guy's like, oh, this guy's being hired to take my job. So he went in to renegotiate his contract. I'm like, dude, I've never even been on TV before. I just record the weather guy. I stand next to it on the TV, and I pretend I'm doing weather every night, right? And that's the key. It's just doing the reps. You do the reps, and then people are like, oh, man, you're pretty good.
Yeah, they're like, oh, you're ready, so they'll plug you in.
So they paid me $8 an hour to do weather in Lubbock, Texas on NBC. And so I had to work at Chili's.
What year was this?
This was 1994.
Dude,
way back in the day.
I was 3 years old.
You were
dude.
3.
4 years old.
born.
Yeah.
You weren't even born.
Yeah.
Born then.
Exactly.
You were still in your dad's nuts.
Yeah.
I was a nut waiting to happen.
Yeah. And, here's the thing. I tell everybody I was 10 years old. I was a child prodigy when I started, but kept after it. And people would be like, Chuck, man, I love your weather. I'd be like, how do you like your fajitas? I got to pay my rent and college degrees. I'd be like, hey, how about a top shelf margarita or an IBC root beer? How about an awesome blossom? They're like, are you Chuck Debroder? Yeah. And then they
Today's
thought,
weather calls for a nice beer.
yeah, I know exactly. But then they thought it was celebrity waiter night, so they wouldn't tip me. I'm like, no, dude, I need the tips.
So they thought you were there on behalf of the TV station, kind of doing a little skit or a gig or something.
I'm like, no, I'm getting $2.15 an hour. I need every buck I can get.
Yeah, hell yeah, that's crazy.
Anyway, so then Channel 9 here, we'll speed it up. They said, hey, how would you like 2.5 times what you're making at both jobs to move to El Paso. I said, I've always loved El Paso, and hopped in the car, and I had been here. My uncle was in the Army for a bit, and he, like a lot of people in the Army, failure to take orders from people in position of authority. That's actually an honorable discharge.
Honorable discharge?
I believe so. Yeah.
Where you're not paying attention and you're not following orders. That's like not allowed in the Army.
Yeah,
you have to do that.
You got to go along with the flow. But if an Army psychiatrist or psychologist says, "Hey, no, he really has that type of personality," you can. But anyway, came to Fort Bliss. He was there for a little while. But other than that, I drove into town and I fell in love with it. I love the Mexican food. I would walk after my 10 o'clock newscast on Sundays. They neglected to tell me there was only one weather guy. So my weekend started after I recorded Monday morning's weather, all the weather cut-ins, the Today Show cut-ins for Monday. My weekend started 11 p.m. on Sunday nights. And then I would have to go to bed at 9 o'clock on Tuesdays, because then the main guy would record Monday night for Tuesday morning. So I would get Monday and Tuesdays off, and then I would have to work the morning show Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And when I first got there, I had to get to work at 12:45 in the morning.
Wow.
It sucked. I saw people leaving the bars at Cincy and King's X. I'm like, hey, how's it?
You're like, I'm on the way to clock in right now.
Yeah. But anyway, no, you got to do what you love. I love to talk, love weather. And I got a second degree from Metropolitan State University in meteorology. So, and it was a lot more difficult than the communications degree from CSU Pueblo. But, man, I suffered through it. And, I drove a Calculus 3 tutor. I think he's still in this Colorado State Mental Hospital from attempting to tutor me in Calculus 3, Physics 3.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, what kind of fucking classes do you take to become a meteorologist? And it's shit like that.
Yeah, Calculus 3, Physics 3, Statistics.
Terrible.
A course that combines all four with weather. Yeah. And,
That's really neat. I had always, ever since I was little, I'd always think, seeing the weather channel and stuff like that, I always think, like, what gets somebody to like the weather so much to, like, get to that point to where, like, they want to be on the news. And while I was looking you up, I saw and heard that it was your mom.
Yeah, my mom.
Your mom.
She still watches every newscast every day, and she doesn't like. And now even the bigger markets are getting cheap. So my buddy who's been working at CBS forever, who was on before me at the sports talk radio in Pueblo that I got a job at, Dave Aguilera, he's been on CBS in Denver for 27 years. And he says, we hire the weekend weather woman of the year. And at the end of the year, if no one recognizes her in a survey, her name, not even one, we fire her and we hire another new, pretty much college graduate going into Denver, Market 17. And they pay them to where they can actually qualify for free government cheese and food stamps. I mean, they don't pay them.
Paying them nothing.
Kagan Harsha, good guy, was my main anchor down here in Channel 9 for a while. He's up at the WB and Fox affiliate, dual. So he means he has to work twice as hard because he has to work for two stations. Man, he says if it wasn't for he married a sugar mama's,
it's his favorite thing.
Yeah, she's like an investment counselor, and her family's like they're the biggest cattle producer in Montana.
Jesus.
So
She's a
anyway,
sugar mama.
yeah,
that's a sugar mama right there, Chuck.
But Kagan says, man, I would be living in the ghetto if I had to live on what I'm being paid in Denver because of the salaries dropping so much. So I admire all the people that are still in it, but man, it's so much more rewarding being an entrepreneur. It's a lot more work, a lot more difficult work, but
it's all
you're
worth
healthier.
it.
It's all worth it. Yeah.
And I'm sure for you feel like a new sense of achievement working for yourself instead of working for like a conglomerate media company that's just there. And for a matter of fact, you actually worked at KTSM for what, 22 years?
23 years, 4 months.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
What was it? What was that award you won in 1988?
Yeah, I saw that you won 1998 Best Meteorologist in the Borderland. I think that was given to you by El Paso Times.
El Paso Times, yeah.
Yeah, way back in the day.
I think I was on the
1998,
front
man.
cover with an umbrella, something cheesy like that. Going,
You got a copy of that?
what?
Do you have a copy of that? We got to find a copy.
Yeah, we got to find a copy
We'll
somewhere.
post it back.
I'm
here.
sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a copy of it somewhere on the internet.
Yeah,
Like,
we could find it. And then, man, somebody sent me a newscast where I was skinnier than I am now when I first started at Weekend Weather, and I don't even recognize myself. My head was like super skinny. And
Have you
my
seen Chris
hair
3
was
years
all
ago?
short. No.
Yeah, you wouldn't recognize me, trust me. So let's get into your time at KTSM. Obviously, that's where not where you got your notoriety from, because you would have gotten that on your own, but that's kind of like where you laid your foundation and became known as El Paso's weatherman because of your longevity and just your familiarity with the community and everything with that. So how did that happen, and then get into kind of the end of the career and you kind of being let go and the rumors that go with that?
Oh yeah. No, well, first it's called nested loops in neuro-linguistic programming, which is based off of Milton Erickson and hypnosis, and everybody uses it now. Every announcer goes, and moving forward, and every politician, moving forward means leave everything behind.
Right.
But in a nested loop, I'm going back to the story when I was working Sunday nights. I would get off of work and walk across the bridge to Chihuahua Charlie's and hang out and party on a Sunday night,
Nice.
with some of the people who aren't probably alive anymore, but I get invited on trips and all this, by rich people there, because El Clima, Chuck
Everybody
Debroder.
knows Chuck.
Yeah, and Juárez, pronóstico de Chuck. And por la noche, parcialmente nublado y con vientos ligeros. There we go.
He's giving them the weather right
See,
there.
he's even speaking the language. Dude.
Every language, dude.
Actually, por la noche despejado.
He's spoken
Yeah.
in 3 languages on this
Yeah.
podcast.
Just so far, dude.
Yeah,
we're only 30 minutes in.
I habla Spanglish, really, but I really need to. But I have to watch Pico at night, the reruns, and I watch novelas, La Fea. Right now, watching from the original one, which is better from Colombia, I think. The Ugly Betty, the original one.
Yeah.
But anyway,
My mom, dude.
Yeah.
Because of my mom.
Yeah,
mi esposa.
Mexican mothers
Yeah, Mexican.
and
Yeah.
wives.
That's how they get all their character from, dude.
Yeah.
It's not like in the blood. It's from those novelas.
No, and that's how they get that look too. That
Yeah,
novella look.
I'm telling you.
that can laser eyes. The moms.
Yeah, dude. My wife all the
Or-
time.
Yeah.
Mine too, man. I mean,
Oh no! Well, I think that's genetic in a Latino. It's just they're born with that look. Like what? What are you gonna do?
I don't speak a word of Spanish at all,
Yeah.
but I hear one Spanish thing come out of her mouth, I'm
Yeah.
terrified.
You know you're fucked.
Yeah.
You're like, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Even when they get their first boyfriend and he's talking to another woman, she's got that look Celestina on El Pico was a comedy. Celestina. Well, really jealous. Her eyes would turn red, and then she'd turn into a dude who was dressed as her, but she would be just freaking out and jealousy over, anyway.
Like a mad rage.
Yeah. But, even at the age of 4 or 5, they're Latinas are like, who's that bitch? Yeah. I'm like, I don't know.
For real. It's like, that's my cousin.
And that's my, yeah.
It's my prima, girl. What are you talking about? I don't like her.
Yeah.
They're always your cousins.
I don't like. Oh yeah.
they're
So you're gonna tell me you got 42 cousins, all females?
Chuck, I know you said at age 45. I don't think that ever stopped.
No.
I don't think at age 85. I think that's still there.
Oh, no. It's still there.
It's
It's
still
impressive. But they're the most passionate, most loving. Mine, she's a pastry chef, professional chef.
There's strong women.
She's
bro.
a criminal profiler. Seriously, actually, award-winning.
I think all women are, right?
journalist. Yeah, all women. Boy, they turn into
FBI agents, dude.
Damn that CSI,
Dude.
Yeah.
Damn,
like females.
CSI learned from them. That's
Yeah.
what it was.
Dude, females will turn into literally a criminal investigator on social media when there's a girl that's talking to one of the guys that they're with. They're like he said, who the fuck is that bitch? And dude, they find out everything about them in no less than like
Height,
5
weight,
minutes.
everything.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like it's ridiculous.
Height and weight, everything.
And then they cruise slowly for a week by that bitch's home too. Going like, I hope she comes out. I hope that. Hey, bitch, you better stay in the house. You know.
But
Anyway.
hey, that's how it is. That's how it
That's
goes.
hilarious.
But you know what? I love my wife.
Oh, a lot of love. A lot of love.
I had to say.
And again, I'm glad this is on video because we're going to have to show I am drinking water.
It's spiked water, by the way.
Yeah.
No, she's already asking me if I'm talking about her right now.
Yeah. Is she really? Yeah. They're psychic like that. Yeah.
Yeah, my wife just sent me a message earlier before you came. She's like, make sure you don't get drunk while he's there.
Oh, because of my rap, probably.
No, it's just because she thinks we sound sloppy.
Oh, yeah.
She's looking out for him and
Okay,
telling him
good.
not to drink too much so you don't make
See,
yourself
but
look
they
like
do
an
look
ass.
out for you.
No, yeah,
but
they
they do it in a different way. Like comes off like really rude. Like,
Yeah.
Like I've been very slow. I've been very slow. Well,
But see-
exactly what she said. She's like, dude, look, hey, you better not. Get
yeah.
too
And
drunk.
my German grandma, I love her, and I think she directed me to the current woman I'm with, my wife, because she was that way. And she, Germans are blunt and to the point because they think they're helping you. Like,
It's a fault.
Tough love.
Chuck, you need to put down that sandwich. You're fat. You're fat. They would tell me you're fat, and like, or we go in a restaurant and she go, oh my God. Can you believe how gay the host is? And we're in middle school and we're like, Grandma, no, you don't
like, Grandma,
say that.
you gotta chill on that.
But she'd say, look at that fat man over there. And we're like, oh, no, Grandma, no.
His name's Chris.
Chris, no, don't give him a heart. Anyway, but so she conditioned me for that, you know. But it's tough love.
Yeah, that sounds just like
That's how you build some tough skin, you know what I mean?
And it is what it is, man.
And I'm like, you don't have to be that rude,
Dude, but
It
imagine,
takes a tough man to be with a lady.
Imagine growing up and your German grandmother is just giving you the work all the fucking time. Like, just like, you're fat.
Yeah, but
You look out of shape. You need to straighten your ass up. Your breath smells like shit.
Dude, I don't know what I would have done. I would have been like, hey, this is America, not Germany.
And the thing is, I was her favorite grandchild. Like,
And that was her being nice.
Yeah, that was her. But it really conditioned me. So I had a tough skin. But one thing, I would get beat up and teased. Bullying is so trendy, but I was bullied. And when you have a 14 millimeter overbite and the Bugs Bunny jokes and all that come out, and I was telling my parents, reminding of the story. She goes, like, didn't your sister, who was 16 months younger than me in grade school, I was like in 6th grade, and back in, and my wife calls it the dinosaur age, but back when I was in grade school, you get so mad, they'd say, "Oh, I choose you." That was the thing. We're going to go fight. And then it was like advertised everywhere. And it was like a big MMA event. It was
Meet in the back. They're about to throw down.
I think in Lincoln for us, it was kind of like just a head nod.
Yeah. Just
You
like,
look at somebody and be like,
it's on, right? It's on.
and then the word went around.
And then we would get away from the grade school, go down to the baseball field. And this was not a smart place to fight because there were goat heads. We call them goat heads. I don't know what you call them in Spanish down here, but they're the weeds that have the seeds that have the two devil's horns up that stick in your feet when you walk.
Oh,
but
yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
So this guy had me down on the ground on these goat heads, and my sister took her metal lunchbox and just clocked. She goes, "Leave my brother alone," and she clocked the guy over the head.
Damn.
And he was delirious, and that ended the fight.
That was it.
hey, shout out to your sister.
Yeah, there you go, Lynn.
Always stepping
Lynn
in.
Debroder.
It's that Russian in her. It's like, that's my job.
It's the German and
German.
Russian.
Oh, that's in Russian?
Yeah, but that's all right. Dos vidanya.
Hey, Nick, never mind on that beer. Cut me off.
Anyway, so you got a lot of questions. I'm a talking animal, so
That's all good. This is what the show's about.
Oh, thank you, man.
So the question I did ask was,
Got another
if-
water right
if
here.
you could just get into your time a little bit on like what happened at the end of your time with KTSM. Because, like I said, there was a lot of rumors that, you've heard the rumors. We don't need to restate them. You know what we're talking about. And people, you guys have seen the internet. You know how harsh the internet
But people
can be.
want to know. And in all honesty, like, we thought about it, but we were hesitant to ask because, like, we've never heard really much otherwise.
And here's the thing. TV, like I told you before we were on the air, I had 7 general managers and 18 news directors. News director is the newsroom manager. 18 of those and 7 general managers in 23 years, 4 months. That tells you how tumultuous it was. One dude who came from San Antonio was like, in a professional news station, was like, this place is so fucked up, I'm out. And he's working at Costco right now because he was like, I'm out of the industry. And I see him stocking shelves. And he's like, man, there's no way that place... and I was told when I left Lubbock to come here, if you could stand TV stations run by people that do not know anything about TV and run it in a non-traditional way, you'll be able to last many years. And I did. But, man, I'm amazed now. I look back, how did I last? Because there were news directors that took me in and said, and some of them not too smart. General manager fill-in with a news director once took me in an office and said, hey, Chuck, nobody knows you. Nobody watches you. Nobody thinks you're accurate. So we're going to move you from the nighttime to the morning show. Then this acting general manager turns to the news director and goes, man, if we move Chuck to the morning show, maybe the ratings will go up. I'm like, you dumbass. Did you just hear what you said? Nobody watches me. Nobody knows me. Why in the hell would the ratings go up? Anyway, so that's the kind of, you heard of the Mensa Society. We have the Menso Society down here.
The Mensa. Pendejos.
Yeah, pinchy cabrons.
And mentally, like, how do you deal with that? I mean,
well, it's abuse really every day. The last news director I had, even the Catholic diocese wouldn't take her back as spokeswoman because she was La Diabla. She was just evil. She was evil. Allegedly,
dude. When the church tells you like we're good,
no, sorry,
right? When the church says no, that's when you're going to hell.
When she couldn't even dip her hand in holy water right there without it boiling. So anyway, she would go to women and say, "Hey, are you pregnant or are you just fat?"
Wow.
And make them cry.
Very rude.
And, the last general manager I had, I saw him allegedly grab women's asses in front of me. And he had allegedly been fired from 26 for not 1, but 3 sexual harassment court-settled cases. I'm like, dude, this isn't 1970s, 80s. Yeah. Women can't, and it was right around Me Too, where Hollywood, all stuff was going down. And so, but anyway, they got rid of the news director was also on Fox as a news director and a main anchor, and she wanted to be main anchor secretly. She tried out, got second place to this girl out of Chicago, Farron Franzak, who was amazing. She was a Second City comedian. She was a Chicago Bulls cheerleader, a Chicago Fire cheerleader. Nice personality girl. People loved her. And then they fired Bo Bagley, who had been there. Well, they let him go. They let him say goodbye on the air. He'd been there 12 years as sports director. And then Don Guevara, who was our main anchor. And they were looking for ways. And this news director took me in the office and said, hey, Chuck, man, I'm trying to save your job. Now, I know, and I tell people, never use the word try. And there was a guy who was a motivational speaker. I saw him trying to get me into a weekend seminar for $3,500, but he was speaking for free at the airport. And he says, some lady goes, I'm going to try and open a restaurant in El Paso. He goes, you'll never do it, because try is to fail with honor. So she said, I'm trying to save your job. So I already knew my days were numbered, right? But the general manager, the Pervo, allegedly, she said, he wants boobs at night and a younger woman. And I said, well, I could get surgically a C or D cup, but I would look a little funny. Just like in Juarez, the clima chicas with dos frente frios coming at you,
Yeah, and they do that on purpose. Too.
Oh, dude, definitely.
Like, come on.
And they got the chichis sticking out and the bumpies in the back sticking out right there.
Like, have you ever
nalgas.
seen like the Brazilian like weather or news women? I'm like, bro, this is ridiculous.
No, it's semi-porn sometimes.
It's like
It is.
Like
Yeah.
you guys are watching this only because of this chick.
Actually,
Like,
I saw
that's it.
this meme once where I guess there's like a storm going through Mexico, and then it was like this Mexican older man giving the news, the weather, and then somebody said like, when you see a man like this, you know that this shit's serious.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
like-
because everybody else is
Well,
out.
yeah, and then they're talking about trompas on the Spanish. They're numbering the cold fronts. What in the hell difference does it make between cold front number 39 and cold front 59?
either a cold
Who
front or
gives
it's
a
not.
shit? It's a cold front. It's going to affect us for 3 days. But you
Hey,
sound.
this just gave me an idea to do like a review, like find those old videos or videos of other weather people, and have Chuck give his.
Have Chuck
yeah.
break it down.
break it down. Say, and then, when you first start, and I did this too, but you have a crutch word that you use, and you can tell on these weather girls, they'll use the same crutch word. And over here, and over here, and over here, you got to vary it up. You say, in the northern tier of states, but see, they could only say over here because they don't even know geography.
Right.
If you told them to point out Kansas or Nebraska, they would be at the map for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Pointing at Florida.
And now a lot of news anchors, they cannot write. They do not know geography. They do not know even how to enunciate words. I was in the commercial break helping news anchors enunciate English words, and they were from the U.S. And then one weather girl, bless her soul, very sweet. She's now working on Fox and 4. She got hired away, thankfully, from Channel 9 for her case, and got like a $15,000 a year pay raise. But she asked me twice in 1 month, hey, Chuck, again, what temperature is freezing? And, she went through El Paso School District, graduated from UTEP, great institutions. But I'm like, first, you got to look it up on Google. There's something called Google.
It's called GTS.
Next is, if you're going to get into weather, you got to study it. And since then, she's a much, much better and all that. But my general manager would be at parties and drunk and hand a drink to a girl who was a model and say, "You're our new weekend weather girl." And I would have to train them.
Just like that.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And here I went through
And then you had to
8.5 years
deal
of
with
college, 2 degrees, and then, again, and women will watch other women to see what they're wearing and then to hate. Because a woman sees another woman, and within 10 seconds, with 10 seconds, it's either like, she's okay, or, it's either bitch, it's on. So, anyway, but mostly men watch the weather girls, but they've got them. And then I was even told by the news director here at another station, "Hey, Chuck, you can apply. We have 2 weather positions open, but I'm going to tell you right now, we're only going to hire a woman for both positions because we can work them harder and pay them less." She actually told me that. I'm like, no,
Savage.
really? I'm not even making that up. I'm like, really? Yeah, I'm being honest with you. We can pay because, and then she told me, the other girl on the other station calls herself meteorologist, chief meteorologist, so you couldn't call yourself chief if you got the chief job. And I'm like, I don't care. I'll call myself El Jefe.
Oh, Hefe the meteorologist.
Yeah.
Chuck Debroder.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So we're coming up on 50 minutes here. We're going to take a quick break. And then when we get back, we're going to talk to Chuck a little bit more about his, what he's doing now. He's a social meteorologist. And then we'll also get into a few other things. And we'll wrap up the podcast. But for now, let's go ahead and take a break. And we will be right back. All right, guys. So we are back conversing with Chris and Misa, the podcast, episode number 45, featuring Chuck Debroder. Chuck, thank you once again.
Hey, guys, thank you.
Make sure, you guys go follow us on Facebook. We're also on Instagram. You can like us on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button and also turn on the notifications so you can see every time we post a video. So, Chuck, we were talking about your time at KTSM. That's where you developed your longevity and kind of like where you were able to make yourself El Paso's most known weatherman in my books. But eventually that time came to an end.
No, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Think about it. The only weatherman people know.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Who's the other? I can't even think or picture any other weatherman.
Well, there might be somebody that's like really old that's like, hey, back in the day, this was the guy.
And,
you know what I mean?
And he's a friend of mine, but he's like, I got good news. I got bad news. Your forecast is next. Doppler Dave.
Doppler Dave.
Doppler Dave.
Yeah,
the
but
new one.
He's been around a long time.
Yeah.
And then Robert Bettis, who I worked with for a while.
Doppler Dave.
And then Sandra Diaz has been around
Okay.
for a while.
You see, there's other weather people out there.
I just prefer
You know what I
Chuck,
mean?
all right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Chuck. So tell us a little bit about how this all came to an end with KTSM. There was allegations that you might have been on air and that you might have been under the influence. So go ahead and clear the air. Let us know what happened.
Well,
And,
they had said the news director told me the GM's trying to get rid of you, and every GM did try to get rid of me. I'll give a quick home show example. One GM cut off my name off of a promo photo. We were there signing autographs, and he told a new weather guy who had never done weather before, hey, watch this. No one knows this weather guy. And, he thinks he's all that and whatever, and nobody knows. So they walked around the home show with no name on the bottom of the photo, and everybody goes, oh, that's Chuck Debroder. That's Chuck Debroder.
The one that
And so
you.
they did surveys. They paid people, the last one, $50 a person to do you like this weather girl or this weather girl? This weather guy? Do you know who this is? What do you think of him? They surveyed of all the people on local TV. And when they came to me, I every time they did this with 4 different companies in my career, I had a 96 to 98% full name recognition. It's called a Q rating, which is one of the highest in the country according to the people who gave this survey. And every general manager wanted to fire me because they said, he doesn't look like a TV weatherman. Well, you know what?
What?
I don't, and that's what this community, everybody looks so different and everybody's different, and we accept people for who they are,
What they're good at.
not how they look and what they're good at. And I thought to myself, gee, okay. But I never was fired, but I knew that it was coming down the road. And, I'd gained, I had open heart surgery. Long story short, they used all my own parts. I have the blood pressure when I was 18, but they even made me go to work, and my wife had to walk me from the weather center to the weather wall. I was out of breath, and I was in congestive heart failure. And so that's the type of thing TV is. But so I had the flu. I'd lost 8 pounds in 2 days. I shouldn't have been on the air. And they blamed a specific newscast. We think you were impaired because there were some friends in the back parking lot. Yeah, they were there to make sure I was okay to drive home because I was actually sick. I was throwing up. And this is before COVID, but maybe it was COVID. I don't know. But anyway,
I was going to say it's the early stages.
Early stages.
It was COVID-15.
Yeah,
COVID-13.
It was the experimental COVID. But anyway, no. But I did fine. It wasn't my best news weathercast or anything, but I did fine. And then you even said you looked up on YouTube, right?
Yeah. There's a video on YouTube where if you search Chuck Debroder drunk on air, and so I found it. Somebody had told me about it, and I looked at it, and it's a short video. It's not too long, but it's pretty much just Chuck giving the weekly weather.
Yeah.
And you see no impairment. You don't see him slurring his words or falling down or anything.
No.
I even forwarded a few times,
Yeah.
and I was trying to read the comments. Like, is there like a certain time where he says something wrong or something?
No,
Nothing.
And so anyway,
There's more.
They were going to
real
suspend
fast,
me.
Chuck,
Yeah.
Before we didn't mean to cut you off, but there's more impairment
Right now.
Here.
right now, or
On this
between on this
broadcast.
broadcast and anywhere that
No, for real though. Like,
Man, if they were to drug test my TV station at any given moment, there would be no workers there. Nobody would be there.
the next day they would have a job fair.
Yeah, they would.
See, and I think what kind of fueled this allegation was the fact that like you said, like you wouldn't get impaired during the thing, but then after you would go and have a drink, and like you said, everybody knows who Chuck Debroder is.
Oh yeah,
everybody goes, because I worked at the Prickly Elder with my buddy Alex, and I remember once Chuck was there, man, like he had a crowd around him. Everybody wanted to buy Chuck a drink.
Oh yeah, and this was after work, and
yeah,
and so but anyway, people would say when Cincinnati was happening the first time, way back, and then now, it kind of had a resurged a little bit. But they'd say, Chuck, dude, I always see you at Cincy. I always see you out at Cincy. And I'm like, okay. First, hold up. What does that say about you? If you always see me out, then you're always at Cincy, right? So, but
he should have been the lawyer. He got me shooketh.
Chuck, that was brilliant the way you did that. Good one.
Yeah, but then I'm a normal dude. I can go and have a couple beers after work, and I love live music. I go to Neon Rose and Monarch and Prickly Elder and see DJs there and Bingo, Adam Dominguez, comedian, local guy. See him host Bingo. Now he's at comedy clubs all over Vegas.
I know
LA,
Nico from the Buzz Adams Morning Show.
Aja Jaman.
Right, he was doing that as well.
Yeah, and they wanted me to do it after. The week after I got fired after 23 years, 4 months over the phone.
Wow.
Talk about no huevos. Come on, bro. Fire me in person. Right.
Well, it's like a slap in the face. I mean, you've put so much time and effort into your job there for so many years, and I mean that's fucked up.
But see, everybody in TV, including the general manager who fired me, and his name's David Candelaria. He got fired from 26, but it's insecurity.
Yeah,
it's a lack of huevos themselves. They're actually, they feel like temporarily like a big man by putting you down. I have the power to fire him.
Yeah,
but they're only doing that to hide their defects.
Yeah, and so he thought I talked about him to corporate HR, and I was just telling him how toxic the atmosphere had become, and I didn't talk about the general manager. But he thought I talked about his previous station where there were 3 court-settled sexual harassment cases.
Well, you see,
allegedly.
That's what's mind-blowing too. Like him getting fired for that. Like, did this news channel did not know about that?
No, they didn't do their due diligence, speaking of law, and their background to check this dude out. So, anyway, and then he still operated the same way. I'd sit there in the studio watching him hit a woman in the butt, say, "Oh, my hand slipped, sorry." I'm like, dude, it's not 1970.
I'm not gonna lie, it's happened to me.
All the time.
I fell.
This guy was doing it all the time.
There's a fly in your ass.
And then I thought you were gonna say, "That's how I met my wife."
That's how I got in trouble.
Yeah. Anyway, you're in trouble now.
I'm just kidding, babe.
Keep talking, dude. Keep talking, Visa.
Who was the bitch you hit in the ass?
She's probably outside already.
Yes, you're digging yourself a big
anyway.
old
But
hole.
long story short, they suspended me for not doing a good broadcast, but they didn't test me. They didn't do anything, and so I was like, okay. Then I get a phone call on a Wednesday after they suspend me on a Monday. And because I called corporate HR, that's why I was fired. Because he was afraid I was talking about him. I didn't. Once they fired me, I called back up corporate HR and I told them all about the atmosphere and about,
If I would have known, I would have called too, Chuck.
Yeah.
Just saying.
And the thing is,
I would have called right after.
I'm being on the real because, a lot of people are fake and they hold things back or whatever. Go ahead and sue me, You can get all my debt. That's fine, but the thing is, you got to be happy with who you are. And I love doing TV weather. And that's why I still do Chuck's Backyard Weather.
Yeah.
Do you have a backyard here? Because I don't know if we might do one here real quick before I head home.
We have a backyard, Chuck, but it's just dirt. But
if
you're fine with that,
hey, that's all right. Or we'll do front yard
that's
weather.
El Paso. We are in El Paso.
And I was gonna say it's very symbolic of El Paso because it's nothing but dirt. Just kind of
half my backyard's dirt too. So
So now
I
you're.
love how you show your neighbor's
pool. The pool of serenity.
The pool of serenity.
Next to the lawn of tranquility.
Yes, there you go.
And the trees of nobility. With the sky of humility.
Hey, bro, he's rhyming right here. Bars.
Yeah.
Chuck, we're going to make a rap album, bro.
Oh, yeah.
I promise. It's going to be the coolest thing ever.
Hey, speaking on a podcast
like
ain't too hard. You just got to join me in my backyard. We're chilling with Misa and Chris and Nick right here. They're over there with not the Natty Light, but the Bud Light beer.
Hey! And the crowd goes ape shit wild.
That's the best shit that has happened in 2020 in my life.
Yeah.
Having Chuck
There
Debroder.
you go. Just like kind of freestyle
freestyle.
there.
There you go. I love it, dude.
So anyway, my wife will fast forward. She was like, you know what? You don't need that fucking station. I told you, you don't need TV to be you. And your health is number one in your life. And when I was being walked to the weather wall in congestive heart failure, and none of the doctors here knew it. At Central Medical, the doctor there says, hey, it's a problem with your heart. None of the doctors I went to here said it was my heart. Then I was in Angels Hospital in Juarez, and the number one cardiologist in Mexico was running around with his residents, student doctors, and said, oh, yeah, this guy's dying of congestive heart failure. And I had gained 100 pounds in water weight. My foot size tripled because my mitral valve stopped pumping water out of my heart. And it eventually blew the rest of the doors of the mitral valve. So the doctors shortened the hole. So 3 like blown curtains in the wind doors. There's 3 doors to your mitral valve into one, and because they used my own parts, I don't have to have open heart surgery every 10 years.
But this was all in Juarez?
Yeah. Well, no, I came back across here and had the open heart surgery here because my insurance company with the TV station said they'd pay 50% of what they chose to pay in Juarez, or now the hospital here triple charged and double charged my insurance company, overcharged $187,000 in my operation, which they caught. But my operation was just shy of $500,000.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes. But in Juarez, it would have been $28,000. And that's
what I call the heart of gold.
Yeah. And but again, the doctor here, the surgeon, had more experience because they did more here. And it was a new surgery that had just been brought to El Paso 7 years prior by him. So
what year was this?
This was it'll be 8 years. It was 8 years ago as of September 10th. So that was my anniversary 8 years ago.
And do you have any like health issues with that because of that or anything?
No.
You feel great?
No, and I was taking like a quarter of like a very light blood pressure medication when I was stressed at Channel 9 because when you get stressed, your blood pressure goes up. Now that I'm not there in TV, where now I feel so sad for those kids because they're getting paid a third what the people were getting paid before in the same position. And they're doing 6 jobs. The weekend weather girl who just quit, and she's got a PR job now, but I trained her, Jessica. She was like having to do, they have to do weekend weather, fill in morning, and then she was morning weather. She had to report after the morning show, edit her own reports, shoot her own reports, fill in produce sometimes. And they found out she was a Cowboys fan, and she had to fill in sports, and she had never done sports before.
They put her on the sports.
Yeah. So, but they do all that, and then the new contracts from this company, Nexstar, they make you sign saying you are available 365, 24/7 in any position at any of their 188 TV stations in the nation. So basically, they own you.
Yeah.
And you're making, you graduate from college and they'll pay you like $30,000 a year, but I mean, how are you going to pay your student loans? And one of the pluses now, they actually ask you in El Paso, so do you live with mom and dad? If you say yes, that's a plus to getting hired because you don't have to pay rent and living expenses. So that's crazy, huh?
Yeah, they actually inquire about that. They're like, you still at home? Yep.
Good.
All right, good. You're straight. That's crazy.
So anyway, but yeah, I'm a social media meteorologist, invented it. My wife does all the graphics. She made them look as good as TV.
It does look legit.
Yeah, they do look legit, dude.
Then Poe Toyota, Gerald Miller, shout out to him. #1 car dealership in El Paso. They sold 578 vehicles last month, all-time record. I mean,
578.
Yeah, and if you go in there and say you're part of the Chuck Debroder backyard crew, you listen to Chuck or Chuck, I want the Chuck Debroder deal. They'll hook you up with even a better price. So
if you guys are listening, you guys better be listening. Turn this mic on. I'll let Chuck explain one more time this whole Poe Toyota.
Yeah, it's a deal, man. Yeah, you go in there and say, I want the Chuck Debroder deal. Tell your salesperson to go talk to Gerald Miller. He's the general sales manager and vice president of Poe. They also own El Paso Honda, but the discount applies for Poe because that's the one sponsoring for us. But man, a Toyota is a good vehicle. And, the CHR, the new Supra is badass. Tundra, Tacoma, 4Runner, RAV4, and they even had a limited edition hybrid Avalon, which was kind of cool that they just sold. And but yeah, so you go in there and you get the hookup. A buddy of mine bought a used SUV and they give him like 3 G's off,
So they got to let them know that they know Chuck and they watch the backyard with you. Let them know about that, Chuck.
Yeah, every night, weekday nights, I do Chuck's backyard weather. We're going to do the front yard weather here with Misa, Chris, and Nick. And so I do that every evening and right around sunset. So we're going to, after we do this, we'll do at least one here. And then I go with the family of skunks that come into the backyard.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
And they eat 8 feet from me, and they're so used to my voice over the last year. Growing up from a baby, we called Pepe Le Pew, the one skunk. And they loved cheesy poofs, as they call them in South Park.
Cheesy
poofs. The cheese balls. And man, they're on sale right now. Sam's Club, $4.91 a big tub.
Hey,
big tub.
Guys, make donations.
Yeah.
We don't ask for money, but we will ask for those.
I'm going there after this.
Yeah, and so we have Baby Lucas Debroder. He's a Greckle, as smart as a parrot, and they imitate other birds. He's our mascot of the backyard weather. But I just get there, selfie, very organic. Me and a microphone, a selfie, and the cell phone. And we talk weather. We do the Pool of Serenity, motivational quotes.
Yeah, I love it.
And do all that. And people watch.
And you could see all this also on Facebook.
Facebook Live.
I do YouTube first. We're up to 325,000 subscribers, something like that on YouTube.
Dude, you just went up in the last few days.
And like I think it's like 320. I don't know. And then 100 million views. Wow. In 23 months on YouTube. We're at 43,350 Facebook real people and 15,500 Instagram. And they're real people and they interact and they get, Instagrammers. I think it's because they go by a different handle.
Yeah.
They just feel uninhibited. So they just say all kinds of shit and ask me questions. And like Chuck for mayor. Now I'm running for mayor.
You know what? That's one thing I loved about that. When I first started watching and trying to get in contact with you, I started watching your live backyard and I started seeing just hashtag, Chuck for mayor.
And what we're doing, we're going to meet in the old Kmart parking lot on Montana across from Poe. It's now big lots, the big lots now.
Right.
And I'm going to give away free Wiener Schnitzel, chili cheese dogs, and free ice cold Kawamas of Natty Light or Arizona green tea. Can you imagine the turnout?
Yeah.
Everybody, and
you better have a limit because Chris is going to empty that place out.
And then, forget Oscar Leeser and Dee Margo. I just want to run just to see them shit their pants. Just to, say, hey, God, this Chuck Debroder's got a name. He might win.
Yo, and they're like, Chuck Debroder is giving out Kawamas at the Kmart. And people fucking love it.
And I still call it. They dropped the Wiener Schnitzel. Yeah, they dropped the DR off of there.
Dude, but, that was the most it's because before it used to be called Der Wiener Schnitzel, right?
And now it's Wiener Schnitzel.
Wiener Schnitzel.
we schnitzel your wiener.
But yes, guys, actually,
go follow our boy Chuck on fucking Facebook and go check his live stream.
Instagram, WX Chuck, Instagram, Chuck Debroder, certified meteorologist. Facebook, we got Chuck Debroder YouTube, ChuckDebroder.com, ChuckDebroder.org, Chuck Debroder Business, LinkedIn with me. I don't know if it'll help you get a job, but oh well. And
you never know.
Twitter and
I gotta say, Chuck. One thing that I love about your live and all this is that you're interactive with the viewers and people that are messaging. I think that's one very big thing. Straight up, because when people look, they think Chuck, they think that you're not going to respond. That's what I thought as well, and for you to always respond and take the time to read.
And a lot of time I only have one contact in, so I can see the messages, and I'm like, so if you see me winking and going up close,
when you pull the selfie stick up,
that's what I do. But it is really damn tiny, even if you have no. And I'm like, okay, who's
but that's
that?
I think that's a very, very big thing, and I think you do a really good job with that, man.
Appreciate
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Chuck, I wanted to ask you about this because I don't know any other weathermen, right?
Okay,
and
sure.
I remember in 2006 there was some crazy flooding here in El Paso. Flooding that I haven't seen since, and I don't know if we'll ever see it again. But to the point where a fucking Blockbuster got taken down.
I want to know what the fuck happened.
Yeah, the water just came down the mountain. But number one, I grew up in Denver where there's street drains, and there's no street drains in Lubbock.
Now there is.
The good old boys, just to let you know how little there is to do in Lubbock, when it rains, they have these playa lakes, which are so unhealthy. Just these lakes that hold the excess water, and neighborhoods become infested with mosquitoes and lawn chemicals and everything. But the water, there's no street drains. So 4 feet of water is rushing like a river, and these good old boys in their pickup trucks are just driving through. And so here, I couldn't believe there was no street drains either. But in 2006, we had 10 inches of rain in West El Paso, Northeast El Paso, in 30 hours. And we get 9.75 inches a year. For a year, we're the driest city in Texas.
And where did all that come from?
It came from one storm, actually multiple storms, created by an upper-level, low-pressure center that just parked over Silver City area, over the Gila, and just like a giant thunderstorm factory, was producing instability, which allows clouds to go skyward. I'm not going to get too geeky here, but
I was about to start writing this shit.
Yeah, I know.
Sounds interesting.
Okay, but no, it has to do. We had plenty of humid air. We had dew points in the 60s, which is east of here, in Lubbock, in Midland, in Dallas. Where invisible water, humidity, is the power source for all storms. So we had that. We had the instability with the low, just the perfect recipe to keep storms forming all day and all night. And to see video of waterfalls coming off the UTEP mountain there by the Sun Bowl was just surreal. And they put me on the air in the morning. I was on the air for 9 hours straight. And I talked about how I'm a talking animal. And my friends after that, I was quiet, and they're like, "Oh my God, Chuck finally talked. he finally talked himself out." But they kept replacing the news anchors. But I was like, "Hey, can I get a break?" And no, because you
were the guy at that time.
Now, if that happened again, there's not many weather people left that could talk about it for very long because they really don't know. Oh, isn't that nice? There's flooding on this street, but why? A lot of the weather people now can tell you what's going on, but they can't tell you why.
Okay.
Hey, would you happen to know when was the time where it snowed the most? What day?
Oh, boy, it was back in the 80s. There was snow in May, and John Fawcett, who's the meteorologist in charge at the National Weather Service of El Paso, which is located in Santa Teresa, New Mexico, the office, actually. He was on air on Channel 13, which is now Channel 7. But he had blown the forecast. He talks about it. But everybody pretty much did, the Weather Service too. No one thought that there was going to be like 2 feet of snow in May 1st or something like that. It was was like unbelievable. My
mom actually told me, she was like, I remember sometime in May where it snowed so much.
Yeah, it was like 14 inches, And so, so that was before my time, before I was here. But, we can have weather. My friends say, Chuck, why are you in El Paso? Well, I had a personal life because in Lubbock, 3 weeks into tornado season, it's 3:30 in the morning. You're waiting for the morning weather person, and you're going, okay, everybody in Muleshoe, Texas, there's a tornado warning. Go to your tornado shelters. And it got to the point where the director was like, Chuck, you look like shit, man. Just voice over because you look so tired, you know? And keeping a voice during all that was crazy during the floods. But, the damage was phenomenal. And then you guys remember the 3 mornings we were below zero.
The freeze.
And the freeze that killed a lot of palm trees. And
it busted a lot of pipes.
My house actually flooded.
Yeah.
I even had to skip school to clean up all the water.
Yeah. And I grew up in Colorado. So Philip Mena, who is on NBC before the Today Show, was a main anchor. But he was my main anchor. And Bo Bagley was stuck sideways in front of St. Patrick's and in front of that budget motel. And he had a 2-wheel drive 4Runner, but not a 4-wheel drive. So we pushed him into the budget motel, and they charged him $35 for a night stay just to have his truck parked there. I'm like, dude, this is rare. It doesn't happen in El Paso. And I'm sorry, you're not going to be that busy tonight,
Yeah.
And then there was like some Fresa concert up at Don Haskins. so we were,
I haven't heard Fresa.
We were pushing these Fresas up Mesa, and they're like, oh, we got a super wow. Yeah. We're gonna go see
super wow.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I don't know who it was they were gonna go see, but Luis Miguel or something. But anyway, so we can have wacky weather here. But when we do get rain, it's a big deal. And we're headed into La Nina, which is a warmer and drier weather pattern for Colorado on down south. And all the northern tier of states are going to see snow, and we're going to probably see our 4th non-winter. But
what did I say?
There will be a dozen icy cold days. 3 days I'm predicting 3 days with snow flurries. 2 of those where the snow will actually stick to the ground, but it'll melt before noon.
Oh,
but
you're hearing it first.
Is it just an El Paso thing, or is it a Texas thing? Because I live in San Antonio now, and last winter was probably the first winter I spent over there, and it was kind of like El Paso winter too. But it's
so Chuck. I've had this theory.
It is.
I've had this theory, and I've mentioned it on this podcast over and over. Like I was like, El Paso's not even experiencing weather anymore, or not winter anymore, because like it doesn't get that cold. Like it gets like maybe below freezing a few days. Like not for like long periods of time.
No, when I moved to Lubbock and it was getting 55 in Lubbock, they're like, hey, it's cold. And I'm from Denver. So I'm like, 55 is it's cool, but it's not cold. Cold is 45 and below, or maybe.
Cold is like 15 degrees under, and like you have to fucking like really bundle the fuck up to go outside.
Yeah, we wouldn't say it was cold until it was like not even 45. It was like 40 or below.
Like 40 degrees.
Yeah. And in Denver, and then, it sounds like stories, growing up as a kid, but my mom and dad would send me, and other school districts would close down. My mom and dad's house looks right at Red Rocks Amphitheater, the best outdoor concert venue in the world. But we're in the foothills of the mountains. There'd be 1.5 feet of snow, and I'd be walking to school, and I'd have my mom would put my double socks with a Wonder Bread bag or a plastic bag with rubber bands on top to keep it dry, and then put it in the shoe, and the circulation was being cut off on my foot. I'm lucky I didn't have a doctor saw off my foot. And then we put it into over boots, and then buckle the boots, barely buckle. Like my mom and would have to put all her weight on the buckle, and I'd be ready to go out in the snow. And we'd walk through this, take a shortcut like kids do through a field, and we'd put one foot in, fine. Next foot would go in, fine. But then the last foot would come out with your shoe and boot still stuck in the snow, and you would plant your foot in the Wonder Bag, and then the Wonder Bag would come out, and you'd have to put your boot and shoe and everything back on. And
The struggles of a kid.
Anyway, so yeah, when they told me, oh, it's cold in Lubbock, then it's even worse here.
Shut the hell up! I know what cold
It
is.
ain't even cold here.
Yeah, people, the frestas are like, oh my God, it's cold, and it's 59 in the morning. Or it's fresh. It's fresh.
de frío, güey.
It's fresh in la mañana.
That shit's hilarious.
It's fresh.
Yeah. Chuck, real fast, do you believe in global warming? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. I told you that too. Okay. Thank you, Chuck. Chuck,
Yeah.
you're just reaffirming all these things I've been
and
saying.
only because the world temperature goes up every year. Now, have we lived on the planet long enough to know whether or not we're going into another
Definitely not.
heat wave or ice age? No. But is there global warming? Yes. Are we contributing to it? Not us as humans every day. We are heating up the ozone layer to 60,000 degrees Fahrenheit to change the pattern of the jet streams to control weather. Because can you imagine if any country could control weather as a weapon of war, you would save a lot of lives of troops and everything else. And I've had friends that it's compartmentalized, so they don't know what they're just working on part of it. But yeah, it does.
That's
and
mind-blowing,
all of a sudden, next week for your podcast, there's going to be black SUVs showing up outside.
We're looking for Chuck.
We're looking for Chuck
Debroder.
Hey, who told you guys we were controlling the weather? Who let that out on the fucking bag?
But the Japanese, the Russians are all experimenting with.
I mean,
changing
that
the
could
pattern.
help, like growing food.
Oh yeah,
like
and that's what they said it's for. It's to grow crops, to send rain where there's droughts.
Or
and
for
stuff.
example, like right now with all the wildfires that are happening on the West Coast, like
they could send rain
they
there.
could engineer rain and be like, here, let me send you guys some fucking rain.
That's insane.
And then it would literally solve the problem.
No, and that's
You know what I mean?
that's what their public intent is for.
Damn.
But I'm just saying, I'm just giving
I wish I had-
scenario.
I wish I had,
because
like,
with everything else, like you can use it for good or you can use it for bad, like you said in the war.
You know what I would have
environment.
used, like if I had like Chuck's knowledge on weather, like when I was younger, is like just get chicks.
Oh,
It's like, do you think, hey, girl,
hey,
can I get your number? Hey, how about if tomorrow, if it rains?
You want to kiss in the rain?
hey, and
How about meet me over here at 11:30 p.m.?
when I was all of like 143 pounds wet, when I came to El Paso.
Chuck the Buck.
Yeah, and,
Chuck the Buck.
and one of the producers, a real cute girl, Jennifer, she turned to the director and goes, "Is that voice coming out of that skinny little guy?" But on
turned around and
Sundays,
said, "Yes, baby."
on Sundays on Sunny 99.9, there was a woman DJ who happened to highlight at Prince Machiavelli's Gentlemen's Club off of Executive there.
R.I.P. to
Yeah.
that
It's gone
place.
now, right?
Yeah, R.I.P.
Yep.
But she would have her fellow co-workers show up scantily clad, and they would invite me to aceitunas, and I would come walking in with 3 scantily clad professional dancers, and so that's where Chuck got the whole pimp rep.
The whole
because-
mantra came from that.
And the thing is, I didn't hook up with any of the 3, but it was just like an image thing, I guess, and there you go.
Yeah, I mean, you'd see you walking around with all these girls, and first thing I think is like, I want to be like Chuck when I grow up. First thing I think.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, no, that just came to mind. I'm a talking animal. Go ahead and shoot.
All right, so Chuck, since you are not a native El Pasoan, but you are an established El Pasoan now. From the amount of time you spent here, we might as well say you're from El Paso. So,
Yes.
can you give the audience a few good places to eat here in El Paso?
Wow. Okay.
Anything you like, anything.
Okay.
You know, you don't have to say.
From Mexa,
Yeah.
used to be Paco's Tacos, and they shut it down over by Cañetillo there, over by the outlet malls.
Okay.
But that's for the tripas. Está
Ooh,
muy rico.
tripas. You see,
Yeah. and
Write this down.
Cheetos. And but no, El Toro Bronco is good for Mexican food.
yes.
I like that. The one in Central, just up from the Dairy Queen. in the hood.
In the hood, off of Paisano.
Yeah, where all the babies' mamas go. You know, and that's good. And
Love it.
and you know, you see all the babies' daddies in disguise.
All types of tacos.
You know, they're like, damn, I'm jonesing for some tacos al pastor, but I got to put on this disguise. You know. Anyway, but yeah, gosh, there's some great restaurants.
Hey, real quick,
about.
what do you think about steak pitas? Did you ever try steak pitas?
Oh, I loved it. You didn't like it?
No, man. Well, I mean, it's because we were comparing
Dude.
steak pitas, Chico's tacos.
Oh, okay.
You
But
know,
steak pitos, they had that secret spice.
The secret
that they-
sauce, not the sauce, the salt.
spot. It was the salt, the spice
the
that they
salt
put on
that they
there.
put on the fries was on the side, and you can salt your shit even more. You can salt your sandwich.
Yeah, it was
Okay,
great.
so Misa, can you concede to the fact that
Now
you're the
Misa
only
doesn't even
ones-
like me anymore. He's like,
No.
Chuck,
Yeah,
we've
I
had
know,
plenty
I'm
of
kidding.
guests on here. All of them are pro steak pitos. The
No,
only
not all of
guy,
them. Not all of them.
Okay.
like 90% of them, the only person that is
70.
anti is sitting right here.
Well, but I wouldn't
Next.
go out of my way.
Look,
but if
well,
I
all
was
I gotta
at
say,
Bassett
and
Mall and
And then his one argument is like, why is there only one left now? Like, dude, get over it.
I didn't even know there was one left.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's closed now. A lot of them are closed.
So
if they weren't
where's
so
it open
shitty,
at?
why is
It's
it
on,
closed?
it's on the east somewhere. I don't know
Because
where.
I know
but
there was one.
It's
by
on
Franklin.
Traywood. It's on Traywood.
no, yeah.
okay.
That's the
There's-
only one open left.
There's no more on the west side.
Not
They're
even
on
at
the
the
east
mall?
side.
No.
wow.
But
that shit left long
Misa,
time
can
ago.
you concede this argument, please?
Okay.
Fine.
Okay, thank you. We'll still argue on it
Okay.
next
We'll
podcast.
argue on it,
because
but-
it's cool.
And Chico's
It's
is
buried.
good too, depending on which one you go to.
Yeah.
Hey, Alameda.
That's how I've lost 22 pounds because I go to the wrong one.
You're like, this shit isn't that good.
This is
time.
gluten free.
It's a great weight loss program.
All right, so we're gonna get ready to start wrapping up this podcast. But before we do that, Chuck, can you tell the people of El Paso why you love El Paso so much? Why you've decided to stay here and make it your home?
Well, you know, the people are real and they're nice and they'll tell you, like my grandma back in the day, whether they like you or not, but they embraced me and I embraced the community. And yeah, you know, I'd be out and about sometimes after work and whatever, but people remember that. I made some lifetime connections with people and, you know, how many pinchy widows do you know that go to go to Juarez every, you know, on the weekends? And I went during the novella, you know, when you had the federal police, the state police, the local police
They'll
all
fend it
riding
out.
around with automatic weapons in the back. But that actually was a deterrent. And if you're not in the game, and Juarez is a lot safer than most mid and large American cities because in those cities it's next.
Yep.
But if you're not in the game and Juarez, they don't care. They're not going to waste a bullet on you. And you know, so anyway, I learned a lot.
Especially if you're Chuck Debroder.
And, yeah, but then they're like, oh, Chuck. Chuck.
El clima.
El clima, Chuck.
Por la noche, tormentas.
There you go.
Mañana.
Mañana
Super
está
calor.
frío.
Yeah, and then on Canal Corriente 4, Dos Frente Frios from the Clima Chicas there. Anyway.
All right, guys.
I love it.
So let's do our funniest things from the internet today. Okay. In light of the presidential debate the other day, guys, which was terrible, by the way, which we'll talk about that at a later date. This is a live look outside the White House, and by God, it's Bernie Sanders with a still chair, guys. Coming to save the day.
You know, it was like a WWE match.
This is what they needed at the end.
And you know, Chris Wallace has been like, he gave softballs to Trump in interviews, but then all the Trump fans were like, oh, he was on Biden's side. And you know, people are so passionate. I'm in the middle. I'm a moderate, and I'm not gonna take either sides because you know my German grandma even said, and she was blunt, and she probably did bring up topics at parties, but she could be the only one. But you know, you don't talk sex, religion, or politics. And but with Bernie Sanders coming up there, you know, there's a lot of Bernie supporters still.
Definitely.
And he'd be like, gosh, who would he be in like Ric Flair? You know, old school in the WWE.
Yeah, he would be like a slower, older version of Ric Flair, but
There we
he'd
go.
have that still chair so he could cause damage.
Yeah, he could.
Okay, next is Mises. Mises, what do we got?
Oh, dude, this was This is it's a meme and it says, "Would you be a stay-at-home dad if your wife was making 12 million?" And then it's a picture of the guy in lingerie.
Oh yeah,
dinner.
the sugar mama.
No
experience.
shit. No
Sugar
questions
mamas.
asked.
I love that.
All right, Nick, you got a funniest scene for us?
I don't know if you guys have seen American Pie.
Uh-huh.
Chuck, have you seen American Pie?
Yes, yes.
Jim.
You're familiar with Jim?
Jim,
and the pie? Mm-hmm. My plans.
2020.
2022.
Oh, well, you know.
Nailed it right on the spot there, Nick. Thank you.
Hey, you know, that apple pie is looking pretty damn good right now.
2020
apple pie.
All right, guys. So before Chuck goes, let's ask him 5 random questions.
Sure.
We'll wrap this up. Question number 1, Chuck. If you could live somebody else's life for a day, who would it be and why? Anybody.
Wow. Gosh. Anybody else's life. Man, you know, you got to just be proud of who you are and live your life. But if I could live anybody else's life.
Like Elon Musk. We thought it'd be cool to be Elon Musk for a
it
day.
would be cool to be him or Jeff Bezos with all that cash. Can you imagine just spending it? Or a rock star, you know, just like being a popular musician.
Maybe like a Post Malone.
Yeah.
Like on a concert day, though.
Yeah, but I wonder if he has that voice modulator wherever he goes, you know?
Probably.
And he drives to the drive-thru. You know, hey, I want a Whopper with cheese. You know, and there we go.
Okay, question number 2. Would you rather be stranded at sea or in the desert?
Wow, it's here in the desert.
Those are both tough.
Boy.
I chose mine right away.
Yeah, desert.
Desert.
Yeah,
definitely.
because I know how to eat those tunas off the cacti.
Yeah.
And you know, I'd have to kill one of my.
In the desert, you're out there all alone. There's predators all around you. You know?
But see, at the same time, in the desert, you have the ability to like direct yourself at any direction.
And
walk anywhere
you see
want.
predators, except for at night in the desert.
Yeah.
And it gets pretty cold at night.
Yep.
But in the ocean, man, it gets pretty cold too. And then you cannot
you have to
see
worry
the
about
predators
storms.
day or night.
Yeah.
You can't see the predators down below.
And then you have to worry about a sea storm
And you
coming
can't-
through, and you're done.
You can't drink the seawater. You go crazy.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
you
So
go.
I think overall the desert would be the better place. Question number 3. When you place a new toilet paper roll in your bathroom, is it going over or under?
Over.
I think that's. I think
Over.
that's. I don't think I know somebody that does under.
No, I think only people that are crazy,
Yeah.
probably serial killers, would do that.
Yeah, especially if it's the big fat rolls and then you're pulling and it just breaks off one.
You see,
It's just have to
Hey.
stack
guys,
them up.
this is coming from Chuck.
It was like going old school in Juarez where there'd be a lady in the men's room handing out the one sheet of toilet paper back in the day. We're
Wow.
going way
That
back.
happened? Really?
Yeah, no, and then you tipped her, but but can you imagine being a bathroom attendant? That's a rough job, man. Because huele feo. It would
feo,
be
yeah, of course.
smell.
Sucia.
Sucia.
Okay, do you have a favorite celebrity crush, Chuck?
Favorite celebrity crush?
Jennifer Aniston is mine.
Oh wow.
Salma Hayek. Definitely.
Oh gosh.
Jessica Alba. Did you guys see that new one with her?
No.
That hot wing challenge?
Selena Gomez is pretty
Oh,
hot, looking
there you
hot
go.
again. Yeah,
That's a
she's
good
pretty
one.
hot.
Yeah.
But I mean, gosh, I don't know.
Or maybe like
Crush.
who was a babe back in the day that maybe we don't know?
Back in the day, man, we're going way back. Oh,
Marilyn Monroe.
we're talking the original Charlie's Angels when I was like real young.
You see?
Cheryl Ladd and Farrah Fawcett.
There you go.
Everybody had Farrah Fawcett. Jacqueline Smith, yeah, she was okay.
You had
You know,
the Fairland Fawcett poster on your
in the-
bedroom.
yeah, with she had
There you go.
the Mexican blanket next to her or behind her, and that's what I took a poll the other day. What is the animal or the picture on your Mexa blanket? And I have a
a
wolf.
bear.
yeah, I have a wolf.
I have a wolf.
Tiger.
I had
a tiger's good.
We have
Tigers are
lions. We have lions and an elephant. We have one
Okay.
too.
Those are good. That's a good variety. Okay, Chuck, last question before we wrap this up. If you can only have 3 apps installed on your smartphone, which apps are those going to be?
Oh, it's got to be one weather app. I'm a geek.
We said, I hope he says the weather app.
And a motivational
Hey.
quote
Okay.
speaker app. You could listen to all kinds of motivational things.
Then your last one?
And the last one is like a Food Network app, but that would be torture, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because then what are you going to do? Order online?
No, I wouldn't do that. Some sort of learning app, because you got to work out your mind as much as you do your body. I say that every night at the end of the backyard weather, which I might be stuck in the backyard and the door will be locked tonight by my.
Don't worry, Chuck. You can come over here.
Okay, good.
We'll explain. We'll show you. We'll show your wife.
Okay, yeah, we'll see and she'll be mad at me for a week or so until you get this up on the YouTube.
We'll expedite this one for you, Chuck.
Good. All right,
we got our producers working on it as we speak. They're already chopping the first half.
Cool.
Okay, guys, we're gonna give our thoughts on the podcast real fast, and then we'll let our boy Chuck go. Nick, final thoughts on the podcast today?
I think it was a great podcast. I mean, you're an El Paso icon, you know. I mean, I think all of us really see you as the only weatherman that we know, and
thank you.
It was great to see you from another side, other than being on the news and seeing you do the weather, you know. And it was a great podcast. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Nick.
Misa, thoughts?
I just want to say thank you, Chuck. Like I said, when we first were trying to throw out ideas, and I threw out Chuck Debroder, it was just kind of well, it's Chuck. Everybody knows Chuck. He's a busy man, you know, and shoot your shot. And I did, and I'm very glad, man. And I appreciate you. Thank you very much, man.
Cool. I enjoyed doing it.
Thank you.
Chuck, final thoughts on today's podcast?
Oh, I loved it too. And I'm also a hypnotist. I got a couple openings. If you're used to, for 15 years, a complete mind therapist. I have lightning hypnosis on social media right now, just rolling out that new brand name there. And I need a social media producer for that one too. But I got so much going on. But I help people help themselves change their subconscious and change their lives, and becoming non-smokers, lose weight, erase phobias, anxiety. So that's cool. That's my second passion.
I admire that a lot from you, Chuck, that I've noticed, man. You're always on the grind. You're always just moving forward.
Yeah, and I think I also can rank your YouTube video to number one on keywords that are 80% populated in an hour or two. And I just ranked a girl, how to find someone to marry in New Delhi, India. I ranked her number one on both the misspelling of New Delhi and the regular spelling within 5 days. Number one in India. So I'm kind of geeky that way too.
The power of Chuck Debroder, guys. Thank
algorithm
you, Chuck.
programming.
Yes.
Hell yeah, there you go, Chuck.
Cool.
So my final thoughts on the podcast, of course, thank you again for being on. And me and Misa slid in your DMs, and we thank you for that.
Hey, and you know what? What I'll do is I'll have you on Chuck's Backyard Weather one night next week if you want to swing by.
Yeah,
definitely.
And we'll have you up.
And also, we were talking, guys, for our fans out there, expect to have a lot of Chuck's weather updates and stuff like that going live, so everybody could join and stuff. And just think about it, having Chuck, very accurate, man, in the backyard. And not just that, but you get some very good advice after. The
Chuck Debroder YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Follow, just type it in there, and we appreciate all the follows and likes and subscriptions.
Subscriptions are important in the YouTube world. So thank you, Chuck, once again. Had a great time.
Thank you,
thank
YouTubers.
you for giving us
I haven't been paying attention too much over there, so
it's okay. You're good. The camera loves you, Chuck. Don't worry about it.
It's just the voice. People just gotta hear your voice and know who's here.
Episode number 45, Conversing with Chris and Misa, the podcast. Make sure you guys go follow us on all social medias. Apple Podcast, guys, if you can, leave us a like and a review. What that does is help us get more and new listeners, because it helps us get on the trending podcast boards. So with all that being said, guys, Chuck, thank you one more time.
Thank you,
Nick.
Chuck.
Thank you for producing us today.
It's my boy, Nick.
That's my boy,
Appreciate
Nick. Misa, of course, another good episode,
Always.
Episode 45, Conversing with Chris and Misa, the podcast. We are
Dude.
out.